The mystery of the ghost ship, Mary Celeste, a story lost at sea. The fateful journey. On November 7, 1872, a merchant brigantine named Mary Celeste set sail from New York Harbor, bound for Genoa, Italy. The ship carried 1,701 barrels of industrial alcohol, a valuable but volatile cargo. The captain, Benjamin Briggs, was a seasoned mariner, traveling with his wife Sarah, their 2-year-old daughter Sophia, and a crew of 7 experienced sailors. From the moment the ship left port, nothing seemed amiss. The weather was stable, the crew was well prepared, and Captain Briggs, known for his discipline and expertise, had carefully charted the journey ahead. But what should have been a routine voyage would soon become one of the greatest maritime mysteries of all time. The discovery of an empty ship. Nearly a month later, on December 4, 1872, another vessel, the Dei Gratia, a British brigantine, spotted the Mary Celeste drifting aimlessly in the Atlantic Ocean, roughly 400 miles east of the Azores. Captain David Morehouse of the Dei Gratia was puzzled. He knew Briggs personally and found it strange that the Mary Celeste was off course and unresponsive. As the Dei Gratia crew approached, they noticed something chilling. The ship was completely abandoned. There was no sign of a struggle, no distress signals, and yet no living soul aboard. Everything seemed eerily normal. The cargo was untouched. The crew's belongings, personal items, and food supplies were all intact. The ship's logbook showed entries up until 10 days before its discovery. The lifeboat was missing, but there was no reason for an emergency evacuation. What could have caused a seasoned crew and an experienced captain to vanish into thin air? Theories behind the vanishing crew. Over the years, numerous theories have attempted to explain the fate of the Mary Celeste's missing crew. Some are logical, others more outlandish. Here are some of the most debated possibilities. A. The mutiny theory. One of the first speculations was that the crew mutinied, killed Captain Briggs and his family, and fled with the ship's lifeboat. However, this theory falls apart under scrutiny. The ship's valuable cargo and personal belongings were untouched, unlikely behavior for a mutinous crew. Furthermore, Captain Briggs was respected by his sailors, making mutiny an improbable cause. B. The pirate attack theory. Pirates were a real threat in the 19th century, but there was no evidence of robbery or violence. If pirates had boarded, why leave valuable supplies and cargo behind? Also, there were no signs of battle or gunfire, ruling out a pirate ambush. C. The waterspout theory. A more scientific explanation suggests that a waterspout, a tornado over water, could have created a sudden vacuum, frightening the crew into abandoning ship. However, had a waterspout been strong enough to scare off the crew, it would have left significant damage to the ship. But the Mary Celeste was found in perfect sailing condition. D. The alcohol explosion theory. Perhaps the most plausible theory involves the ship's cargo, industrial alcohol. Some experts believe that alcohol fumes built up below deck, and, fearing an explosion, the crew may have panicked and evacuated the ship temporarily. If so, they may have intended to return but got lost at sea. However, no signs of fire or explosion were ever found aboard the ship. E. The paranormal theories. Finally, some believe the Mary Celeste fell victim to supernatural forces, sea monsters, ghostly apparitions, or even an early example of the Bermuda Triangle phenomenon. While these ideas make for thrilling storytelling, they lack any tangible evidence. The lifeboat's clue. One of the most significant pieces of evidence in this mystery was the missing lifeboat. If the crew had left voluntarily, they would have needed a compelling reason. Some historians believe the ship may have encountered rough seas or unusual weather conditions, forcing the crew to temporarily abandon ship. A prevailing hypothesis is that Captain Briggs ordered an evacuation, fearing the alcohol vapors could ignite. However, the decision to leave the Mary Celeste would have been a desperate move, as no one would willingly abandon a seaworthy vessel unless absolutely necessary. 5. The fate of the crew. If the crew did abandon ship, what became of them? Many believe they were simply lost at sea. Without proper navigation, Their small lifeboat could have drifted hundreds of miles in the vast Atlantic, eventually succumbing to the elements. The ocean does not easily give up its secrets, and no trace of the crew was ever found. 6. The legacy of the Mary Celeste. The Mary Celeste was eventually reclaimed and returned to service, though it never truly escaped its haunted reputation. After years of sailing under new ownership, the ship was deliberately wrecked in 1885 as part of an insurance fraud scheme. However, its legend endures. The Mary Celeste remains a symbol of maritime mystery, inspiring countless books, films, and ghost stories. Even today, it is one of the most fascinating unsolved disappearances in nautical history. 7. Could this mystery ever be solved? Despite centuries of research, the truth behind the Mary Celeste's ghostly fate remains unknown. Advances in technology have allowed historians to study weather patterns, ship logs, and oceanic conditions from 1872, but no definitive answer has been found. Some believe that, with new underwater exploration techniques, we may one day find evidence of the lost crew, finally bringing closure to this enigmatic case. Until then, the Mary Celeste sails forever in the annals of unexplained history. Final thoughts. What do you think? Was it a storm, a sudden explosion, or something more sinister?